Thanks for clicking on the video. Hope you enjoy, and we got a morning shot video for you today.
I'm watching a video by Morning Shot, and it is about shit the South African government is doing again. So without further ado, let me get into the video and see what the fuck they're talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, you tuned in to find out what retarded nonsense is going on today. It's had a lot of retarded nonsense to tell you. So let's start off with Blight. Because in Blighty, the UK government is trying to push forward an Islamophobic law. Now, this had previously been struck down on the basis that it would stop all individuals criticizing Islam and would stop you, effectively criminalize you from asking any questions around the gangs inquiries. I can't say the full name because I get the video struck. In any case, the UK government is now
Fucking YouTube
pushing ahead with these Islamic phobia laws, and to help them do that, they are appointing a Minister of Islamophobia. Yep, if you thought all the nonsense ministers we have in South Africa, such as the Minister of Load Shedding, well, if you thought that was all a joke, well, the UK government has one better. Azar for Islamophobia. Have a watch.
Today we are publishing our definition of anti-Muslim hatred and hostility. And this is in response to what we have heard loud and clear from the Muslim community. 45% of the hate crime that we're seeing in this country is targeted our Muslim communities. And we know that people are anxious, they're scared, they're worried. Defining what is going on is the first step to taking action. But the definition must sit alongside action.
These people are fucking retarded.
In order to make sure that we are protecting people in this country and that we're also tackling those that want to sow hate and those that want to intimidate. And that's why we will be appointing an anti-Muslim hostility czar to work alongside government to make sure that we are rolling this out in institution after institution and taking the robust action we need to make sure that everyone in
The UK is so fucked. I really fucking hope they can turn shit around.
our country feels protected, feels safe, and can be living their lives without fear.
Now, in terms of Islamophobia, I just want to share some quotes with you. They're not my quotes, but I'm just going to repeat them. When Muslims are in the minority, they are very concerned about minority rights. When they're in a majority, there are no minority rights. I was going to say that.
That is fucking true.
Winston Churchill did. Islamophobia, a word created by fascists and used by cowards to manipulate morons. I didn't say that. Christopher Hitchens did. In any case, if you've been watching Morning Shot over the last few days, you would have
Make yourself out to be victims until you have the power to go full tyrant. Yeah.
noted that there were these individuals on horseback.
And I'm also worried because I see it fucking growing in South Africa as well. Like the amount of fucking board signs and like road signs that are pro fucking Islam, it's fucking growing here as well.
Going around Manchester,
It's
riding
gross.
horses
Yeah.
and chasing down protesters against the Iranian regime. Now, those individuals were wearing armbands and what looked to be body armor. Now, the armbands themselves were Sharia law, and many individuals are now noticing that the UK government has done nothing about it. So effectively what we've seen on camera is individuals on horseback in Manchester doing Sharia street patrols, and the UK government remains silent on this. Now, all this comes in the wake of the Iran-US-Israel war.
Hey Hank Brock, how's it going? And yeah, true.
Now, the reality is that what the war is showing is just how embedded many of these
Britain must wake up to Iran's Malayan influence, yeah.
extremist organizations are in Western countries. And many are now suggesting that Western countries should get a grip of their own future, lest they recognize that they will not have one. The actual influence of Iran's spy networks in Western nations is quite significant. Now, where you can actually see this is in academia in the United Kingdom, because many Arab countries
How's your figurines going? I saw you painted the one, and I saw someone else's that was printed out. I can't remember who it was though.
are now blocking their youth from
He has one of
studying in the
Tommy
United
works he's
Kingdom
working on
at
right now,
UK
and it looks fucking
universities
sick.
over
I saw
fears
that one. That one was
of
painted
radical
already.
Islamist extremism. They are worried that if they send their kids to UK universities, their kids will be indoctrinated and go back home as fanatics. Isn't that an interesting fact? Now moving swiftly on. Now, as I said, all of this comes on the back of the
fuck.
war. Now, turning to the war, what's going on? Well, a shipping container near the UAE was struck by a projectile, causing damage, but no crew members were injured. Now, as you know, Iran's Revolutionary Guard sought to claim control over its seas in order to...
I have very serious views about all this, but I'll keep them to myself to avoid getting cancelled again. Yeah, it is fucking YouTube after all. Coming along, yeah, Tommy's being painted. I'm nowhere near done with it. Yeah.
Stop global oil shipping.
It's a lot of work
now,
to
between
paint
the
them.
1st of March and 10th of March, at least 10 oil tankers have
I know someone that paints Warhammer figurines, so I know how it is.
Been in or near that sea, but they've all been targeted and they've all been attacked. But there have reportedly been, until now, no actual real incidents. Now, Saudi Arabia intercepted drones targeting its oil fields, one of its key energy facilities.
Like, the fuck are they doing? They're just targeting their own fucking neighbors that worship, that follow the same religion than them. Like, how are they going to fucking do anything if they don't have their own fucking allies? Like, what the fuck? They really are fucking stupid.
Saudi Arabia also reported intercepting 7 ballistic missiles aimed at the eastern region and at the Prince Sultan Air Base. Now, the UAE has reported additional missiles and drone strikes, all linked to Iran. Now, after Iran sought to control its seas, there was a suggestion that they would start deploying ship mines, with the specific intentions that any ships sailing through those oceans would be detonated were they to hit those mines. Now, the US military has suggested that it has destroyed 16 Iranian mine-laying vessels in a bid to stop this from occurring. Now, Iran,
If that's true, I'm very fucking happy about that.
claims that missile attacks
Because that would cause so much more fucking chaos.
on US-linked or allied targets in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Iraqi Kurdistan continue. Now, disruption to shipping and energy routes through the Iranian seas does threaten global oil supply. And if you've been watching Molly Short, you know all about that, specifically in terms of the escalating cost of petrol and potential rationing of petrol in South Africa due to the reduction in oil supply.
So, obviously, gas is expensive in America, right? Like, fucking petrol in South Africa is fucking ridiculous. Like, it's the same thing, gas, petrol, same thing, different word. But like, the shit is fucking ridiculously expensive here. Like, my bike takes 250 Rand worth of petrol weekly now. It's fucking ridiculous.
Now, reports are circulating of a political declaration from Arab tribes in Iran's Kazakhstan province, the country's major oil-producing region. Now, a declaration created from that region has allegedly called for the rejection of the current Islamic Republic, a secular democratic government, and a national unity amongst ethnic groups. Now, the statement reportedly expressed support for the exiled Iranian Shah as a possible unifying political figure. Now, Kazakhstan is strategically important because it produces the largest share of Iran's oil output. Now, in terms of the Iran war, a former South African president has described the Iranian conflict as a breakdown in the multilateral global governance. Now, he's argued that powerful states are increasingly acting outside of international consensus. But you see, here's the problem. The word multilateralism really doesn't mean anything. If you look at the word multilateralism, it effectively relies on consensus, equality, and increasingly sustainable development. I'm sure you've all heard those buzzwords before. They basically mean the collective security or collective governance of the global order through international bodies such as the United Nations or the WTO or the WEF or the IMF. It's basically buzzwords for the international order applying communism on all of the international countries. But you see, unilateral action basically means one country operating in its own national interests. So yes, this is a breakdown in the international order because the international order has shown itself unwilling to do anything when confronted with hostility. Now, turning to the United States. The United States has warned that it's losing patience with the South African government's policies. The US ambassador to South Africa, Bozel III, did a press conference on Tuesday where he highlighted major US investment in South Africa, including companies such as Visa, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. He said that over 500 US companies operate in South Africa, employing over 250,000 South Africans. Washington outlined 5 key concerns with South Africa's policies, specifically.
Like a lot of the money we have, and a lot of the jobs that people in South Africa have, is because of other countries. And it's getting to that point where this country is going to fucking break down if enough of them pull out.
Property rights and expropriation laws, race-based economic policies affecting investment, unequal business conditions for foreign firms, rural safety and farm crime, and South Africa's geopolitical alignment with US rivals, such as Iran. Relationships between the two countries have deteriorated in recent years, which have prompted trade tensions and political disagreements, and this has all been done because South Africa itself increasingly chooses to align itself with its historical struggle partners such as Cuba, Iran, and Russia. Now, talking of Cuba, mass protests have erupted across Cuba as tensions in the state explode. Now, all of this comes
I have seen that. Like, I've seen a lot of fucking stories about the shit that's happening in Cuba. It's actually fucking wild. It's not as big as it was in Iran, obviously, but it's also fucking massive there.
The quality of life has degraded to a point where many individuals who have attempted to overthrow the Cuban government more than once in order to gain freedom are yet again fed up with communism being imposed on their way of life. Now, you can watch some of those protests right here. Now, the reality is,
when is Trump going to go in and collect his next president from Cuba?
If you listen to the...
Like Trump is collecting presidents like Skybrow's collects VTubers. The only difference is when Trump collects his presidents, he throws them in prison or kills them.
The crowds are all banging pots and chanting, "We want freedom," while they're doing this because they can see Iran attempting to get freedom. But what this does effectively mean is that, yet again, another one of the ANC's allies are pretty much going the way of the dodo. Now, it's probably because of this that the president of Brazil, Lula, has warned South Africa about the risks of weak defense capabilities. This comes after Cyril Ramaphosa was in that country. Now, Lula said the countries that fail to strengthen its defense industries could face future invasion risks. Brazil proposed greater defense cooperation between South Africa and itself, including joint production.
Probably April because he used up his March pool already. That is true. Wait, wasn't that in February still, technically? So, like, wasn't that at the end of February?
Military technology. Now, South Africa acknowledged that Brazil has more advanced defense manufacturing capabilities than it does itself, and I'm reminded that when Denel was at the heart of its game, that was not the case. But obviously, Denel is yet again another looted state-owned enterprise. But still, very interesting to see that many of these despots are now worried about the invasion risk. This obviously comes after Trump had took out Maduro in Venezuela, and now obviously the Ayatollah in Iran. Now, as I said, one of the key issues that the
was it actually March? Okay.
United States are unhappy with is BEE, or race-based rules. And we should then turn our attention onto that, because in a new research
it is time zones.
Paper, it is claimed that broad-based black economic empowerment compliance costs
this fucking rule, this fucking law that they passed, I don't know fucking how long ago now, is basically affirmative action, but on fucking steroids.
the economy around 290 billion rand per year. That's a staggering figure just for compliance. Now, some economists are saying that this represents around 3% of South Africa's GDP annually. Research cited suggest that BE policies may have reduced economic growth by between 1.5 and 3% per year since 2004. Some analysts are suggesting that around 192,000 potential jobs per year may have been lost or not created due to the compliance costs alone. And critics are arguing that BEE has become associated with cronyism and political patronage. Now, government officials, ANC government officials, say that the policy remains a constitutional transformation requirement, though reforms are being debated. So the actual pushback against BEE is becoming more extreme by the day.
That is true. There's a lot of even companies in South Africa that are trying to push back against it, because the law itself is also costing companies so much fucking money that a lot of companies are actually going bankrupt and closing down. I know of 2 stores that I used to go to regularly shut down already, and others that are still shutting down because they can't keep up with the BEE requirements.
Though the ANC seems to continually want to double down on it. Now, as we've talked around the potential impact against the economy, we should probably move our attention onto the economy itself, because South Africa is reporting 1.1% GDP growth for 2025, with agricultural growth of 17.4%, driven mostly by an increase of agricultural production following previous year's contractions. Now, it's important to understand that some economists are actually questioning whether the agricultural growth figure may have been overstated. The Bureau for Food and Agricultural Policy says that agricultural GDP figures have been revised significantly in the past in order to show some form of actual growth in that sector. Remember that this is also one of the key sectors that the ANC wishes to expropriate due to land redistribution policies. In any case, other sectors such as construction...
that law, the Land Expropriation Act, basically, where the government can just go to someone's property and land and say, cool, you no longer own this, we own this, and we're going to give it to someone else.
And manufacturing remain weak. So the actual areas where we can noticeably mark what that actually means in terms of output production, they're all crap. Now, the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, celebrated this GDP growth, although it's important to understand.
Okay, I want to read this. Well done, Mzansi. SA economy grew by 1 to 1 in 2025. Okay. Grok, please explain to him, like he's 5 years old, what the implications are for growth rate of inflation in South Africa for 2025 was 3%. Imagine SA's economy is one big cake for everyone. Prices rose 3% inflation, so the cake costs more to buy, but the real cake only grew by 1.1% bigger. After higher prices, there are almost no extra cake left. Add more people sharing it, each slice gets smaller or stays tiny. Yeah, means few new jobs, wages buy less stuff, and life doesn't feel richer. Yeah.
And that this GDP growth isn't really real growth at all. In fact, many critics are arguing that the growth itself remains low relative to the population growth and the economic needs of the country itself. And debate continues over whether South Africa's economic policy direction is delivering meaningful growth. In other words, is BEE killing the country or not? And the answer to all of us is yes, of course it's killing the country, but the ANC doesn't care. It doubles down on its own ideology.
The ANC just keeps fucking taking everyone's money. That's why they don't give a shit.
At every opportunity. Now, suddenly, economists are warning that the global conflict with Iran and energy shocks are going to affect the 2026 economic outlook, and that stands to reason. Now, as we've talked about the ANC's ideology, I want to end the video on a final news article, and that is that according to the ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula, the apparent rejection of the renaming of Graaff-Reinet to some other professor that you've never heard from must be condemned, because according to him, the mere idea that some individuals are against the renaming means that they're more racist and they're harping back to the good old days of apartheid because that's all they want. Apparently it's normal in most countries for names to reflect the cultural diversity, spiritual healing and decolonization of African history, and that's why these name changes must occur. But this is leading to some to ask the fundamental question, and that is, if these names are meant to represent the cultural diversity, why does the ANC seem intent on wiping out completely the culture of one and replacing it with the culture of another. That does not represent cultural diversity. That itself represents cultural supremacy and could be classed as nothing more than revenge. Anyway, do let me know what you think in the comment section below, and until next time.
Yeah. I fucking hate this country. I hate this government. I do love this country. Is beautiful. Like, South Africa is a beautiful fucking country. But the fucking government has ruined this fucking country. But no, I'm gonna end the video, yeah? Thanks guys for watching if you enjoyed that. Or hated that, because the fucking situation is shit. Leave a like, share, and go check out Morning Shot. Morning Shot's always been doing good videos, and like I said before, not a lot of people are talking about this situation. Not a lot of people talk about the shit that's happening in South Africa. So I do feel like it's important for more people to actually know what the fuck is going on in this fucking shithole. But yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like, sub, and comment down below.